I would almost exclusively post reels, videos. That's the only way that you're going to grow on any platform right now is short form content. So with YouTube, if you did want to have a massive YouTube channel, you would funnel your shorts, those followers into longer form content. So you would just be pumping shorts. If you guys did want to start something, that's how I would start, is just through reels.
I feel like our audience needs this talk.
Yeah, they definitely.
Yeah. What is it? Also, are we on?
We are now.
Well,
Cheers, Stephanie.
Salud. Salud.
Miss Stephanie Daly in the
question
house.
a lot, so.
Yes, thank you for being here. Steven has been keen to make this happen for quite a while.
I know, as have I.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for being here. This is going to be super fun. All right. So this episode is all about content creation, going viral, becoming an influencer, building an influencer business. We're starting with the business one. Then we're going to go into the dating, the life, the sexy talk, the spice later, which I know
Stephanie's
everybody
wheelhouse.
The juicy stuff.
and the data, the juicy stuff. But it just so happens that you've built an amazing platform, and it has not been like an overnight thing,
Absolutely not.
right? Okay.
It hasn't.
So, and before we kick off into that story, we're going to do our Alfalfa round,
Okay.
which to give you a quick summary of, you just share whatever you got from this week. Could be life. I always go with like life Alfalfa. Could be financial. Could be whatever you want. Just something juicy for the people. So, Nick, kick it off.
I got some money tings.
All right.
Let's talk money, dude.
All right, I sized up the Cardano short
Oh,
on Monday.
Nice play.
Yeah, so today's Wednesday, post FOMC meeting, and so far so good. The puts are still on the puts on the SPX. That count is still 40% in cash, but those are printing green today. We'll see how it goes. And then I did reach out to more multifamily and storage general partners, still trying to get more of those deals in the wheelhouse. I did review some data from the financial crisis 2008, and the TLDR is that you don't necessarily want to invest in the year before or during the recession in these apartment complexes or storage units, but coming out of the recession, there are some unreal
wait till capitulation.
returns. Yeah, like that whole market is in a price finding mode, and some people are going to get hammered. People took too much leverage. So I know the good general partners are going to find some good deals, but it's going to be a minute. So I put a 9-month pause for myself, and we'll see what happens mid 2023. But I want to get the pipeline of deals set up now, as many as possible. I want to find hundreds of these guys, and then we'll lay heavy in the apartments and storage units.
Nice moves.
Yeah. Anyway,
Let's go this way. Okay, so I was terrified of TradFi earnings this week and FOMC, so I did not want to be short spot. I cautioned you against going short Cardano.
Yeah.
I'm glad you went heavy.
Survived.
You survived, and you're doing great. On our last pod, we talked about Airbnb and how wrecked that business model is. So I wanted to be short Airbnb. And instead of going short, I should have went all in short. It's down 15%.
do they have actual earnings or no?
Their earnings
Okay, so it's not a shit
are
stunk.
pretty solid. They beat on earnings, but I still think that at a $70 billion market cap, that business is overvalued.
Okay.
So instead, I'm just selling calls on all the junk that I don't like.
Nice.
Instead of just going short spot. I want to lose these. But
Okay.
at the end of the day, it's like a net short position is where I want to land.
All right. So what I always do pisses Steven off is I do life Alfalfa,
It
and he's
does,
going to
it does,
ban me
it
from
really-
doing
That's
this
what I would
soon.
do.
He's going to ban me.
You can do it, but
I
you can't.
got to get one more
He needs
in
to stop.
before there's some sort of lobbying thing that he does to get rid of this. All right. So we were talking about this before we started recording, but I just finished Sober October. Today is November 1st, 2nd. I'm very excited to be drinking with you all.
Me too,
But
man.
that said, wow, what a fucking experience. 35 days of no alcohol. I felt the impact immediately within the first week. I think I lost 4 pounds literally right away in the first week. All this bloat. All
You
this,
lost 10 pounds overall.
overall 7.5.
You look lean.
Yeah. And it's not just that. It was like a cascading snowball effect of all this other stuff. I mean, my mind feels sharper than it's ever felt. I didn't need as much caffeine in the morning because I wasn't waking up hungover the next day all the time. I literally was sleeping like I think 30% markers better across the board. My heart rate was like 30 to 40% lower every single night. It's like I'm getting into the like my average sleeping heart rate now is like 45 to 48, whereas before it was like in the 50s.
Whoa.
So I got a question for you.
And
You're
60s.
you're like slamming these wines right now. What's going on?
What do you not want me to do that?
No, I just want to get a little clarity here.
What do you want clarity on? Like, why am I drinking
Well,
again?
you're back.
Yeah.
You're back. So like,
Yeah.
how are you playing it?
I have a new relationship with alcohol.
Love it.
I want to reduce the frequency and quantity of consumption at the time of like drinking. So it's all about intention for me now. The thing is, look, I love this stuff. I posted a meme in the Discord about like, and I'm back. Like, I love this. It's beautiful. Like, I love the relationship that wine and I have. It's wonderful.
It's more fun.
Never
for
had
us.
a problem.
It's more
with
fun
it,
for us as well.
you know?
Just FYI. Like,
Yeah.
I'm having a better time.
Yeah, it's already a better episode. I asked the listeners if they even knew I wasn't drinking, and I think it was pretty obvious. But no, I'm a big fan of doing Sober October. It was my first time doing it. I could totally see myself doing it every single year. And I have a new relationship with it as a result, right? Sometimes you got to take one side of the extreme to land in a new sort of, to find your personal Tao. This is my personal balance zone now, is like one of being a little bit more conscious and intentional about how I consume this stuff, which I don't think you consume very much of.
Not
either.
frequently,
But you are for us right now. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So you're up, Stephanie. Tell us.
I was going to save it until we got into like the marketing side of things, but sorry, this is going to be also like philosophical.
You don't have to
stuff.
apologize.
Okay,
for me.
good.
It's okay. You can do it. He just can't.
So I live in a downtown high rise, and we have like a nice apartment gym. And I felt like I was just becoming pretty stagnant and honestly kind of isolating. So I recently joined Fit Downtown just for like an environment shift.
Great gym.
Yeah. But that's kind of like the whole point, is I needed an environment shift and I wanted to make new connections and things like that. So yeah, I encourage everybody to start making an environment shift and putting yourself out there in different ways, even if it's scary, like me being here.
Awesome. Welcome.
Have you been to Fit Little Italy?
I have once. Yeah, it's super nice. Yeah.
I go there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Or
I
no,
know.
I went to Mission Beach, not Little Italy.
Oh, Mission Beach is brand new too.
Yeah.
That's a
Nice.
sick gym.
Yeah.
Right on the
Mission
beach.
Fit.
Yeah.
Really?
And everyone's like very
It's
attractive.
awesome. Yeah, I don't like going there.
No, it's motivating.
No,
It's honestly, it is.
Do you
Your
remember?
beer will grow faster if you
Be
deadlift in
motivating
front of
or
the ocean.
demotivating.
I
while you're
had
doing
two
it, yeah.
motivations for doing Sober
Unbelievable
October.
how
Do you,
good-looking
do you
and
remember
shit
them?
everybody
Do you remember
is.
them? One was Joe Rogan posting his like, here I go again doing
Yeah.
Sober October. The second was that fit chick at Fit. Do you guys remember when I texted you about that? The chick that did like a circuit of pull-ups and like dead hang calisthenic type shit, and then got on the assault bike, and there was a whole like thing I texted you guys about how I felt like
Was it a video or you saw her do this?
I saw her do this, and I
You
texted
were
these
video
guys.
videoed
You were
it
video
for the
I did
crowd.
not video.
She
I
does
saw
her
her do
workout.
this. I texted these guys, said, I have never been more intimidated, and I am going to get my ass like
Yeah,
in way better
motivated.
shape. I was motivated.
That's
Hell
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, Steven. What are you shorting?
I'm done. I'm just done. Nick. I feel like I've been talking about shorting Cardano for. Excuse me, Ziggy. Don't jump on the guests. I feel like I've been talking about shorting Cardano for weeks, and it finally blew up this morning. So
Blew up in a good way.
Yeah, imploded. Should I start saying imploded when it goes down?
Yeah, you got to be a little more clear.
I feel like people keep asking me about that.
sometimes
I need
it
to.
exploded, and I'm like, wait, yeah, that's also
In my mind, like things exploding are just bad, and so I want to be short that. But yeah, I've actually got some good stuff I've been thinking about. I just wasn't planning on talking about it today too much because I mean, the reality is I was staring at the chart trying to cover my position all morning.
You didn't sleep last night.
I didn't sleep last night. I woke up at like the FOMC is like Christmas when I'm a kid. Like I could not sleep because Santa was coming, and like whenever there's an FOMC meeting now, I can't sleep because I'm like, what's Jay Powell going to bring us? What's he going to do? Is it going to be 75? And
Sure enough, it was.
it was 75, and he brought the fire.
Yeah.
Oh, he was like, fuck your calls, fuck your stocks, fuck everything. It's all going down.
You will be poor.
And then I was just like,
You'll be poor. Yeah.
yes.
You will like it.
So great day here. I know last couple episodes we've been sitting here like, why is everything going up still? And it's been like very mind bottling. I know it's not how you say it.
Drink.
Mine's in a bottle.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steven.
Let's move on to the good stuff.
Let's move on
Let's
to good
do
stuff.
it.
Let's talk content creation. You've been creating content for how long, Stephanie?
For about 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why do you do this?
Let's actually go back a little further. I want to talk about how I even got into this because I never would have expected to be doing what I'm doing. I was actually in commercial real estate doing marketing and kind of like admin stuff for multifamily properties.
Oh,
At a brokerage here in San Diego.
What's your
San Diego.
GP?
tell me more.
But yeah, so I was doing marketing for them, creating OMs and whatnot. And it just kind of got to be this toxic environment because it was a gentleman's club and that was really hard for me to be in. So I ended up leaving there and I started helping my brother out with his marketing agency and I started doing social media management and whatnot. And then I slowly started sharing, I guess, my opinions and what I like online, and people really resonated with that. And I talked about yoga, weight loss, and relationships is what really stuck and what people really wanted to talk about. And I remember Instagram capped my caption, and so I was like, screw it, I can just start a blog and write however much I want. So that's how I started a blog, and that has been like the foundation of it all. So
what was the motivation for starting though? Was it purely a creative outlet for you, or was it like this is a business motive from the beginning?
it was purely creative,
Okay.
cliche, but I went through a really like rock my world breakup. And I think I kind of was at a point where I felt that I had nothing to lose. And not just because of the breakup, but like, honestly, across all boards, I really just felt like I was either creating a new world or starting from scratch. So that's why I felt compelled to just kind of like talk about things and see what stuck. And yeah, I would say that it was cathartic in the process. And I never would have admitted it was because of the breakup. But 100% like that fueled it, because I was in this like such an intimate space of learning about myself, learning and like reading books and meditating. I was like thrown into that space. And I think I just wanted to share everything that I was learning while I was healing, but I would have never.
You're documenting.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like if you go through the beginning of my blog, it's a lot of like healing. It's a lot of those topics. So I would say,
the blog is the foundation.
yeah,
of
100%.
everything. Then
100%.
came the videos.
Exactly.
Do you still focus on the blog?
Yeah, the blog is still very much alive.
What's the name of the blog?
So it's getting rebranded, but it originally launched as Self-Care Every Damn Day.
Every
Obvious-
damn day.
.com.
Yeah, .com. But now it's getting rebranded into the liaison, because that's essentially what I am. I'm the middle person between these different groups.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to
what's-
ask you about that because I saw that kind of branding shit
Yeah,
happening. By the
yeah.
way, we should probably back up just for people who aren't familiar with you. You are
Right.
at Stephanie Daly on Instagram.
Yes,
right?
DAILY.
Yes, and you have an extra Y, I think, in your TikTok, right?
On my yeah, somebody stole it. I can't do anything
those
about it. So
bastards.
double Y on TikTok.
Yeah, and you are known for doing like data on relationships, and you use like Instagram stories primarily, I think, to gather
Yes,
that
exactly.
data.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you basically use Instagram stories in like a super interesting way that I don't see people do, and then you get from both sides of the aisle. It's like you get men and women kind of like whispering their secrets into your ear and stuff, and you are in the middle of like these two genders trying to like understand one
Yeah,
another, and
yeah.
you're telling us both like what to do.
Can I-
I think
that's
it's fascinating.
exactly what
Can
it
I
is,
throw
yeah.
some hooks out there as some of these questions that Stephanie
Oh,
answers
God.
with data? Like simple ones like, do men fantasize about their female best friends?
Mina killed me over that one.
Oh, jeez.
I've never done that one. I feel like I'm missing out.
You were in the 19%.
Yeah.
That's it. That was the number.
We'll dive into the
Okay,
content of them in the live
yeah,
episode.
content.
But there's spicy ones like, does size matter? Do men like it when women play hard to get? There's dating ones. I mean, these are some really good hooks, and I think burning questions that, and maybe why you've really taken off, and your audience has grown so much is because not a lot of people tackle these, and not a lot of people tackle them with data.
Yeah.
So how did you start getting into like, I should poll people, and how, like, when did you start saying, I want to use the data
Right.
and
If
visualize
Nick,
it.
the algo, is a woman, this would totally be his whole life. This is Nick's like favorite thing in the world.
like,
There's
this is
data
fascinating.
involved.
It's mine too. It started because from the beginning, I never wanted to act like I had all the answers because I didn't. Like a lot of these questions were my own because I was in search of these answers myself. And so there would be a question, whether if I had an opinion on it or not, I'd be like, well, what do you guys think? Because I just didn't want to position myself like that. And then with all these responses coming in, I realized that this was a really good opportunity to do this again and again and again. And I knew it was going to grow. So that's, I guess from the beginning, I started doing that. And it was a topic on ghosting. And so I wanted to get both perspectives from why men ghost and why women ghost and like different levels to the ghosting.
Right.
So that was the original topic that kind of
hate
took off this
ghosting.
crowdsourcing. Yeah.
It's
I do too.
disgusting.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing
It should
you
be
can do to a
punishable.
person.
It should be punishable.
Thank you.
Cowardly.
Thank you. It's very
So
cowardly.
cowardly.
I think it's it should be less punishable than you guys are
No,
leaving it to.
it's fuckboy MO.
No, but I think
Yeah.
it's both genders, and
Yeah, they do it too.
Like I think Stephanie, I followed you for a while. Like your whole platform says like if somebody's not making time for you, it's because they are not that into you.
They're not interested.
That
yeah.
they're just not that interested. So it's like I think if you can just like remove the emotion from the ghosting, you just be like, oh well, they're not that interested. So it's like it doesn't actually change the end game at all. It's like okay, so they're not that interested. So they're either gonna break up with you or they're gonna ghost. Either way, it's the same end. So who cares? Like
So much easier said than
you-
like actually felt, I feel like though. And that's also a big part of my work is I want people to have this information and kind of like this reality check so they filter through the wrong people faster.
Okay, but my big question, and one you alluded to already, is you found something that worked.
Yeah.
You started with, you said yoga. What was the other
Weight
one?
loss.
Weight loss and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And then relationships clicked and you started doing this data-driven thing. How did you know that that was the one that was clicking? What did you see? What was the data that you received back? Like qualitative, quantitative, that was like,
Yeah.
I got to go harder on this.
Yeah.
How did you know to keep going there?
Because people kept inquiring about questions that they had. So it was a lot of positive feedback. And when I would put out a blog post, I would get a lot of positive feedback on that saying, I resonated so much with this. You know, thank you so much for putting this out there. Nobody's really doing this. Nobody's talking about this. And for about 3 years, I only did the blog. And I knew I was not going to grow unless I put my blog content in video format. But I was very, very scared to do that. It is very scary talking about these topics on video. It's still very scary.
Because I mean, so, like maybe a good portion of them are sex related. So is that the part that's scary specifically?
Okay, yes, you're right. And I was actually in denial about that for a long time because I was like, well, I have this blog. It's not just about sex, but it's like, yeah, a big part of it is about sex because that's what sticks and that's what people want to talk about the most.
Yeah, people come to us for money and then they stay for the fun and the life stuff. But it's the same thing. People might come to you for, oh,
Right,
that's spicy
right,
sex.
right.
And then they stay for like, oh, I want to be happy
Yeah.
in a relationship. I want to
healing.
attract a
Yeah.
partner or
Right,
heal. Like,
right.
That's what they're really there for.
Yeah, I just hope that that does come across more often than not because, like I said, if you were to see my blog and there would be, I mean, you chose really good, topics to highlight. I'm glad you chose those because there are some other ones that are pretty aggressive. But yeah, I just hope that it would be known for not just all that sexual stuff. But anyway, I knew putting this content on video would catch on quicker than it would with just, quotes, hashtags, and things like that. Yeah. And I started doing that on TikTok and I went viral a few times.
was TikTok the launching point for you? Was it TikTok first before Instagram?
It was always Instagram. TikTok for me was more so like a testing playground because a lot of my friends aren't really on TikTok or they're not on there as much as we are on Instagram. Like we kind of have parts of ourselves on Instagram, not so much on TikTok. We're like scrolling through. So I was really just testing things out on TikTok. And that's where I tested out the spicier topics. And they started going viral and I didn't know how I felt about it because I didn't really understand the TikTok algorithm or the TikTok audience. Like I just didn't really get the person who would be on the other side of the screen. Whereas I know a lot of my followers on Instagram or, in the beginning. So I knew that if it would take off on TikTok, because Instagram is trying to replicate their algorithm, it would take off on Instagram as well. It was just scarier because I had family, friends, you know.
Yeah, because it's like a derivative of Facebook almost. Like it's a little closer to home.
Yeah.
So we were doing a little, kind of like research, looking at your videos beforehand. And one of the videos, it looks like it might have been one of the earliest videos, was about cologne.
Oh, yeah, that one did pop off.
1 million views about the top 3 colognes a guy should wear.
Yeah.
Was that one of the first ones? That
that was one of the first ones. I forgot about that.
Okay.
And so that's when I also knew. I
So
was
this
like,
is an alfalfa topic, actually.
I can give you some suggestions.
Can you please?
Yeah.
Because
I mean, they're my favorites, but
yeah, it's all subjective, right?
Okay.
But there is probably some objective, like women just
So
generally
hold on,
like
just
these.
so we're clear, can you bring up the poll? What was did it have like 3 choices?
It wasn't
for the
a
best?
poll.
no,
it was
so yeah,
her
this
suggestions.
was a trending sound on TikTok, and it was like, no, I don't think you understand. I'm obsessed. Like that's what the trending sound was, and then I just showed, I think it was just 3 pictures of 3 different colognes.
Sort of your favorites.
They were my favorites. Yeah.
Okay.
Mine wasn't in there. But,
Oh, what's yours?
the YSL.
Home.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. As a Persian man, I'm sure you have like 17 different colors.
How many Armani's you
At
got?
least got a few signature scents.
Was yours in any of the top?
No.
Oh man. All right, we gotta step our
Hold
game
on.
up, boys.
Too unique.
Stephanie,
Not even
what are the
Oakwood?
3 that are your favorites?
Do you remember?
Do I remember my favorites?
Yeah, the favorites.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
So I love Creed, although I think at one point almost every guy had it. And
went too
Forgot
viral.
what that
Yeah.
smelled
It's
like.
too viral.
I
Okay.
forgot.
What else? What else you got?
Ode Wood by Tom Ford.
Okay.
It's
Is that the one with
it's-
the leather and stitched wrapping?
No, I think that's Tuscan leather. That's a good one too, though. But yeah, Ode Wood is a stronger, richer scent. It's not for everybody, and it smells
not for you,
different.
pal.
It smells different on everybody.
Yeah.
You're not that
It
guy.
smells
pal.
very different on everybody.
I wear like rich kind of like stuff.
Okay, I feel like you would like
Black
Ode Wood.
Yeah, I
Panther.
should check that out.
Yeah, it's super yummy.
Real bits of panther in there.
Just liquid gold.
What's another one? I feel like a lot of guys know Dior Sauvage. That's a good
So
one.
good.
Similar
That's,
to Creed,
Mina
I feel
favorite.
So
like.
good.
None of my high school colognes
Yeah,
made it
you
in
didn't
there
say
either.
Aqua di Gio. I'm a little upset.
Calvin Klein.
You guys want me to say like Chanel
No,
Blue?
no,
Ew. I feel like Chanel Blue takes me back to 8th grade where every single guy had that cologne, and I
know.
can't do that.
I
Very
know,
It's a
amateur.
car freshener scent. So.
Right, exactly. But I'm not getting in that car.
So when you look at a video like that, and you don't have to use this one as an example, but let's deconstruct why a video goes viral. Like, what is it about a video that says, here are the top 3, colognes that a guy should wear to stand out? What is that? Why?
I think about my video specifically, it falls under education and kind of tips for men, fashion tips for men. So it was very niche in that aspect. And I was also thinking about what makes viral content in general viral and what just makes a person magnetic. Like there's this one girl on TikTok that's just like, she's popping off like crazy right now because she's just so aesthetically pleasing to look at.
I think being a babe is key. Like you can't just give guys
It's easier.
tips and you're just like some little, you just can't. You got to be a babe.
I have a theory though. I think you can be a babe, and that definitely helps for sure, especially on Instagram. My God, but I think as long as you have a unique look and you double down on that, you can be successful.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like blue hair and an interesting outfit that you always wear is a form of branding.
I agree.
And I think if people can like fall in love with that and like that, you can stand out and like carve a space in the algorithm. But you just can't be John and that's it.
But you're talking about for an audience of males. An
Have you
audience of
ever
females
thought
could be
about
totally
going
different.
just full blue hair yourself? Like I could see. I could see.
I have not. Would that work?
Just for men, a touch of
might
blue.
help our branding.
Yeah, no, I know.
So-
You're saying it's for an
Yeah,
audience
like
of...
we're talking about like you need a unique look or to be a babe. Like that's for guys.
Well,
But
sure.
like for women, that's not necessarily the case. And so, Stephanie,
Right.
my question is like, do you have a sense for where your audience lies? And then does the fact that, you might be objectively attractive, like, does that, come into play with your audience? And how do you
Of course.
try to I guess, because you're actually trying to get real data.
Follow-on question:
Yeah.
does it also matter to women? Like, do women care that you're a good-looking, objectively attractive person?
Right.
I would imagine they actually do care.
Yes, and they also care about what kind of men are following me.
Interesting.
Like-
Interesting.
Yeah, say more about that.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
a couple girls. What I've noticed is that people will kind of check me out from afar and then follow me once they feel more comfortable, at least the girls. And then I'll get some DMs saying like, hey, I didn't really know who you were. I just followed you because a lot of the guys that I knew or every single guy I've ever dated is following you. And I wanted to understand why.
Makes sense.
And
Why
then
are
they're
they
like,
so good? They know all the secret tips.
exactly,
Yeah.
follow me. But then they're like, but your content is so good and now I understand. So I do think some of it, and not to be conceited, is partially due to aesthetics.
Right.
But I also am very cautious of that. Like right now, I'm not showing my boobs.
You don't. I mean, like I did
have-
the patch
Well, you
of
could or you
videos. That
couldn't.
look-
It's up to you.
Yeah, you're definitely on the side where you don't use it.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to look through my comments and see disgusting comments.
Right.
Right.
You could have a much bigger audience,
Well,
but you're
like,
not there for that.
Here's the thing:
Right.
like I've been following you for over a month, and I noticed that you were getting some heinous comments from dudes about that specifically.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think you have to scroll. Like, I rarely post them, but when I do post a shot in, I guess, a more revealing article clothing, it's apparent. But I made a comment about that, and guys now, they'll make like funny comments, not directly like sexual comments. So I don't know if you guys have seen those stories where they'll be like, "Oh, that's a beautiful wall paint" or something like that. Color. Yeah.
So
Cool
is
way
that
to-
more acceptable? Like, in
Yeah,
your eye?
I would rather do that because it kind of gives me the authority to be like, you're not going to talk to me like that.
Right.
This is my gig. So, so I kind of keep everyone in line that way.
So, I mean, you might be familiar with Lauren from the Skinny Confidential.
Yeah.
Yes. So I
Love her
noticed
stuff.
that early on, she also made a similar decision. Like she's also an attractive female.
Yeah.
But she chose to not play that line of like using her looks to get, an audience and not to be cheap in that way. And people can do that on their own. That's fine. But I also realized that she was able to build a platform for her business because her audience was interested in the content
Exactly.
and not necessarily her specifically. So
Right.
has that come up in your like thinking about building an audience before, that kind of,
Yeah.
should I play that line or should I not?
I've definitely thought about it. I've definitely thought, this video could go viral if I just wore this or
Yeah.
positioned this way.
This podcast would go immediately viral if we all took our shirts off.
Right.
Maybe some of us did.
And I think just because I just love split testing things. So
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, maybe in the future I'll do that. But just to be talking about the topics that I am and having that look, I just wouldn't want to invite that into this conversation,
So is your audience more male heavy or female? And what do you try to cater to when it comes to the questions that you're answering? Is it both? Because it seems like you do.
It's absolutely
outside-
both because I built this whole community from both perspectives. That's
the liaison,
Yeah, that's
right?
what it's
The
always
liaison.
going. It's always going to be. Almost everything is not off topic. So, I would say that in the beginning, my audience was mostly female, and then it was 50-50, and now it's more male.
Okay.
But like if you went more like plunging V-neck style, like would that alienate more of the women, you think? Or would that
I don't
like
know.
entice more of the women to come in?
I don't know if it would repel them. I don't know if they would think that, I'm taking that clickbait. I really don't know.
yeah.
Isn't it just about being you at the end of the day? It's
like
Yeah,
authenticity.
I mean,
playing the long game.
Right. And a lot of people are there just for me. A
Yeah.
lot of people are there for the content, but others are there just for me because they enjoy seeing, behind
Right.
the scenes and things like that.
There will always be a percentage, I
Right.
think, that's like not the best there for the data
Yeah,
that
for
you need to
sure.
poll, but like I think ultimately what you're saying in so many ways is playing the long game is really important. You
Yeah.
don't want to sell your soul. One thing I've always thought about, and I'm really curious your perspective on, is like you show up, you create this content, and then all of a sudden the algorithm has so much power, right? We all want attention to a certain degree if it's a goal of ours, right? It's a goal of yours, it's a goal of ours. So, and we all have our motives for wanting that attention. We have some sort of meaning behind it or monetization behind it or deeper altruistic thing maybe people want to do with that attention. At the end of the day, the algorithm shows up one day and goes, this is what we're rewarding. It's the thing about relationships and the data thing. My question for you is, like, how do you determine your own free will throughout that journey? Like, what if a person gets stuck? And now I'm talking outside of you. Like, say a person shows up and they start creating content about 7 different things, and then one of those takes off, and then all of a sudden they're the 4-hour guy. And they don't want to be.
Right.
What do you do about that? Like, how do you
I've seen creators fall into
not
that.
get stuck and get pigeonholed in a situation, but you also want to use that base of attention that you just received to, like, you've worked so hard for it for years and you finally want to do something with it. I'm sure you've seen that a lot. Like,
Yeah.
do you feel ever that way where you're
Yes.
pigeonholed? And
Yes.
what would a person do about it?
So for me specifically with the topics of sexuality, that's how I feel. I was like, I don't want to be known as the girl who talks about sex. I don't want to be known as the girl who talks about these crazy topics. But that's what people remember. And I've seen creators speak out about the fact what you were just saying. I feel like I've, grown to be this person. But I've found that the more authentic you are, even just about the process of going back to wanting to be something else or reposition yourself, and you are forthcoming with that with your audience, they'll resonate with that. So if you are in that position, I've seen creators just say, hey, this is how I grew, but this is what I'm actually interested in. And you're going to be seeing more of this because this is what I want and this is what I enjoy. I'll still have, this about me, but this is what you're going to be seeing more of. And I respected that.
So are you seeing now, like, because you've grown your platform so much, like you're at millions of views on various social media platforms. Like, are these typically more about sex, or do you find them in other avenues as well?
Other avenues. Some are a bit controversial. I think I posted one that went viral about why women have engagement rings and men don't. And there was a lot of conversation on the topics. Yeah.
Where you at? You got it?
Yeah, he has
I
it.
have a wedding band. But yeah, why does a year or two go by without a without a
like
ring?
why
really
why
committed.
does the girl have to tell everybody that she's taken?
Because the guy wants
from across the room.
the optionality. What
Right.
came out of that?
A few people responded and they had said that it was actually, I think they said that it was like a deposit type thing.
Oh my God.
No, I'm not kidding.
it's
And
the
they
funniest
also
thing right now.
said,
Markets are down.
yeah, I think that's what it came down to. But basically it was the tradition back then and we've just kind of been okay with it.
There's a theory on this. It's called have you heard this? It's called a Zaharian signal. The idea is that, like, men and women have this asymmetry in terms of, like, their ability to, like, have, like, commitment. Like, women have a lot on the line and then men don't. So the idea was that this was, like, a man making, like, an enormous sacrifice, like to pony up all this cash and just buy a rock with it. Was sort of like a...
So like a dowry? No, that would be the girls.
Yeah, it's just something that's like in Africa, there are these tribes where in order to, like, ascend to the highest level of the warriors, you have to, like, wear these gloves that are filled with, like, bugs that literally just painfully
I've
bite
seen
you.
that. It's like the most pain of all time.
And that's the same thing. It's like you have to. It's the gloves are the sign that you're willing to go through this pain. You wouldn't do that if you weren't committed to doing it. You wouldn't go through that. So it's like a similar mechanism. And the idea is that men, like, have to do that, but women don't necessarily, because there is that inherent, like, asymmetry in that, like, women have babies and then men can be prone to, doing the man thing.
I had a question going back to going viral. This is a question I think about a lot as, like, a marketer of products and services. If you were to start again, you clearly start with the blog and then Instagram and then TikTok.
I'm still curious about the blog.
Would I,
thing,
though?
But yeah.
But like, platform is a big decision because, like, putting all the content across all the platforms is tough, and they're each
So
have
hard.
yeah, exactly, and they have their own idiosyncrasies. So for a new creator trying to start up and go viral and gain a large audience, what would your advice in terms of platform selection?
Right.
Vine.
Yeah, it's coming back, baby.
Are you ready for Vine?
Is it actually coming back?
Yeah, I think so.
Thank
Elon's bringing it
God.
back.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm down with
the
that.
OG.
It's going to be annoying, but it depends on who the creator is and what their content is.
Okay.
But what you have to focus on is video. If anybody ever wanted to be a creator or an influencer, the time is today, yesterday. Like, there is such a prime opportunity with Instagram specifically right now and YouTube through Reels because they're trying to catch up with TikTok. So the algorithm is pushing videos, all Reels. And with YouTube Shorts right now, it's the same thing. I've seen people grow to 100,000 followers in a month.
Yeah, our the guy that helped us, shout out to Sahas, the guy that helped us launch our podcast, Squid Media is his agency, and he has a personal page on Instagram, just Sahas Chopra. He was sitting at like 4,000 or 5,000 for a long time. And he's at like 150,000 right now.
Yeah.
And he just kept grinding. He kept doing it.
Just pumping out other people's content or his own content.
No, you haven't seen these? They're amazing.
No,
He just
I love Sahas.
he just sits, he looks at the camera, and he shares this like really interesting story that you have never really heard. It's new to most people. It'll be like, here's why a Rolls Royce costs this much, or here's the true story of the Queen of England, or here's like something like you haven't heard.
That seems very well thought out.
It's very structured
Yeah.
and scripted.
Yeah.
And he's a video editor, and his video editing is really good. And he's a very hardworking person. And so he just kept grinding. And then he went from that to that
On
in
Instagram?
4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
It's
How much
wild.
how much do you think his video editing prowess is the result of his like
I think
growth?
Stephanie should answer that question, and probably would have helped if you'd seen it. But like, I think it's part of the whole equation. It's all of it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you have to do everything right. You have to know who your audience is. You have to create an engaging video that's shareable. You have to have good editing, strong editing. You have to have good sound quality and video quality. You have to almost check all the boxes.
Well, let me ask
Stephanie
Stephanie
I
Stephanie directly.
strongly disagree.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
like,
I
This is
feel
great.
I feel like that can be very disempowering to tell somebody that you have to be A1 at all these things, because some of the videos that I did, I posted just to kind of post, and they went viral.
Wait, you don't even have an editor? Do you have an editor?
No, I do everything
yeah.
myself,
Just on your phone.
just on my phone.
you just pick up the-
sometimes on iMovie.
Pick up
Depends.
the phone and basically
So like
just
what
create content.
app on your phone are you using? Just out of curiosity, it's just like a
Instagram.
You're recording in Instagram.
you're
editing.
recording
Okay.
in Instagram and editing in Instagram.
Yes. So
Yo, this is the alfalfa.
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say that. Okay, so if you are trying to go viral on an app, specifically with Instagram, because Instagram is just more stern about it, you want to be editing, creating within their app. So filming within their app, putting stickers, quotes, whatever, polls. You
Do you
want
believe they actually push those videos more?
yes.
You just want to be native. Yeah.
You
Makes
want
sense.
to put the captions through Instagram. You don't want to add it through a third party. You don't want to add it through an editor.
Like pre-edited.
Yeah, you want to go into the Instagram app, type captions, and auto-generate it through Instagram. Because Instagram wants you to use their app, and they even came out saying that they're going to be prioritizing creators that create through their app. They said that
So
themselves.
I've noticed.
Sounds right to me.
Serious
That makes a lot of
alfalfa.
sense. I've noticed you've changed like the visual, the aesthetics of some of your posts. You've gone from like charts to different types of ways that you put the hook up front, like as the main image. So how did you kind of evolve that, and what influenced your decision to kind of change the aesthetic
Yeah.
of some of your posts over time?
That's a really good question. For a long time, I was very concerned about the aesthetics, because Instagram used to be all about your grid aesthetic,
Yeah.
right? It's not like that anymore. Nobody
What
really
does that even
cares
mean?
about
Grid aesthetic. What does that
like
even
you
mean?
go onto someone's profile. I just remember following these bloggers, and it was like color coordinated.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, like literally all the photos.
Yes, and
are
it just like
aligned?
it just looked
Mono.
so yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like you would even scroll through, and it would be like a rainbow. It was crazy, and I just got so disempowered, because I was like, I feel like I could do that, but
I'm not going to do that.
yeah. And also, it's like I feel like I'm not the best influencer, because I don't go out and specifically take content. Like I don't do shoots and stuff like that. So that also, I felt like it hindered my growth. And so then I would kind of get stuck in this cycle where I wasn't creating, and then I would feel insecure about that, and it would just be like this vicious cycle. So like I said earlier, I really like split testing. So I just began to see what worked, Was it my charts? No, the engagement was shit on that. Even though people love to see the data, the Instagram algorithm just wasn't pushing my graphics through
The
the
algo just got a huge hard on.
Yeah.
Let's test.
But when you talked about the data visually with your face in a video, it worked.
100%. Because, so just to backtrack, I am a partner at a marketing and branding agency. So I'm also doing social media branding for other people and other brands. And so I already knew that Instagram was pushing reels, but like I said earlier, it was just really scary to put my content on video. But I knew that's what I had to do. I was just very reluctant to do that because what is my family going to think? What are my friends going to think? Right? So
Can you address that? Because I
Yeah.
think that's something a lot of people think about.
Yeah.
It's very relevant to this episode.
Yeah.
I need help with that.
Yeah. How would you, what advice would you give to people that are really apprehensive about putting themselves out there, or being judged, like being controversial,
right.
you know?
So at the start of all this, I just always had either like a vision or just a strong feeling of like, am I going to regret anything in my life if I'm laying in a bed at 80, 90? Like, what am I going to regret?
It's a good framework.
And I would have regretted not attaining the things that I want to experience in my life. And a big part of what I wanted was to be seen and heard. And that was through my writing and then also through engaging and being connected to my audience. And that's also very scary because when you share your gifts, your opinions, your values, your standards with people, you have to be prepared for them to see it at their level of awareness. And you can't take offense to that because some people just aren't going to understand that or they're going to reject it. And your people are the ones that you're going to serve and build, and you have to keep doing that with them. But you're going to repel certain people. When it comes to family and friends, I think the friends I was good with, but the family was tough.
Do you have a conservative family or just generally want to show up a certain way? And
Yeah, a little of both. I was raised Catholic, and I would say they're pretty conservative, and we never talked about like sex growing up or anything like that. So that was tough because it's like, what are they going to think? Are they going to think that I'm just like this sexual deviant that I'm out here talking about all these topics?
No, that's good.
And it got to the point where that was also hindering my growth. It wasn't just, what does my feed look like? A big part of it was, what do people think about what I'm talking about? Is this going to affect my intimate relationships? Is this going to affect my familial relationships? And I even told my sister, I was like, hey, I think I just need to block everybody in my family momentarily, or like temporarily. And I did.
Have that space to just
Yeah.
let it rip.
Gave you the runway. To
Yeah.
go.
And some of my family members took offense to it, which I understand, and I am so sorry. But you have to do what you have to do.
You'll get over
Like
it.
I just feel like the generation before us didn't have the opportunity that we have to explore what we really want in life. I feel
That's
that
right.
they had different responsibilities and traditions, and we would just social media. It's just so
we're the
different.
follow your passion generation.
Yeah.
Well, I got a
So
question for us now because like just
I'm excited about
leaning
this.
on your experience, right? Like, so Stephanie's an objectively pretty person, right? And we're
Thanks.
we're okay here.
pretty.
We're okay. Yeah, we're fine.
You're the
We're-
Zlatan of the group.
Yeah, we're not knocking down doors by any means, but I think we're all right. I think like from my perception, you got to be pretty. You got to like, and none of these things are exclusive, but like you can either be pretty, you can be informative, or you can be funny. And any of those realms in which you dominate, you're gonna be good on social. Does that sound right?
What about
I like that.
wildly cringy, entertaining?
there's that. There's people who are
there can be,
intentionally
like,
cringy.
controversial.
Just like, off the
Controversial.
charts. Okay, well, let me just stick with my framework. But like, okay, I'll allow some freedom on that on the fourth thing.
Thank you.
But like, I think any of us could be any of those three things. But I don't actually think of any of us as like particularly any one of those three things, right? Like, I don't think we're like inherently models. I don't think we're like the geniuses of the world. I don't think we're like the funniest guys ever. But I think we have a pretty cool, unique blend of the three of those things that could work,
But
within all of
and
us.
I think Stephanie's comment was like particularly informing because like what she said there was like, you're serving an audience and like you have to stay focused on that. And at the same time, you can't be, and I know I'm kind of summarizing your words, but you can't be afraid to polarize. You can't be afraid to let a certain part that's going to hear it be turned off by. Like, you got to be okay with that, and you have to still focus on your audience. So like, whether you fit in one or all of those categories, at the end of the day, like, people are coming to you for a specific reason. You have to keep feeding that reason, and for the people seeing you, hearing you, commenting on you that are not coming for that reason, you have to be okay with them telling you to F off.
You know what I got out of Stephanie's take most of anything is like, you ever seen this? I don't even remember his name. God damn it. He's like this guy who like rides a snowmobile off the fucking
You love
jumps.
this guy.
You just
forget
gotta
his name.
You just got to send it at the end of the day.
You really do.
just gotta send
You
it.
really do, or else you're never gonna find out.
Right.
But it takes a lot of courage, but also it seems like it takes a lot of hard work to do it. So can we talk about that? And I'm interested particularly like how long should a new creator expect to just put out content with literally crickets?
This is us asking. Not that there's crickets
Not
or
for a
anything.
friend.
No.
yeah, I
this
mean,
is
like
for
we
us.
the audience is there.
we
for
we
sure.
have high expectations here. You know, we want to reach millions overnight.
But I've had friends. I have a friend
can.
who has a YouTube channel with hundreds of thousands of followers, a good business from it. But he posted for a year with like 1,000 people following him, and then in a year, once a year hit, all of a sudden exponential growth. So
I feel like that's how it happens.
right,
Yeah.
Like that's just
what do you
For
think
everybody.
people should expect going into? Because I feel like people
do not expect like
Yeah, your own growth wasn't really like a line. It was
no,
like a step function,
it was
right?
it was literally like da-da-da-da-da, boom. It was crazy. It was like a 3-year overnight success. It was like, I think in 1 week I gained over 100,000 followers in 1 week.
wow.
in 1 week.
In 1 week. Like
a
Instagram
big
even
week.
told me, they're like, hey, you're gaining a lot of followers. You might want to limit comments in case like of bullying and things like that, which is kind of cool.
Wow, you got a personal reach out.
But what can they expect? I would say don't expect anything. And also I want to say, like, the less you can go without asking your audience, like whether if it's through sales or something like that, the better.
Why is that?
You want to give.
Yeah,
You want
goodwill.
to give so much more than you ask. And the longer that you can put that off, the better.
I would love to get to. We definitely want to talk about like this influencer / monetization possibility, but before we get to that, I want to go a little deeper on what Nick was asking here, and there's something specific that I'm wondering about.
Sure.
Feel free to pivot back. One of the challenges we have. You started with like 3 things, right? And one of those things worked. And you were like, I'm going to go deeper on the relationship thing. Alfalfa is a podcast that is very sort of similar to like a Joe Rogan sort of podcast. We talk about money, specifically a lot of times crypto, but also very many other things within the world of money. Culture / politics, which is a huge bucket. Like we could talk about nuclear like Holocaust 1 week, and then the next week we're talking about Kanye West. And that's all part of the same episode. And then in the life episode, we're talking about becoming cyborgs and, what the future looks like and porn and what we're going to do with you, which is going to be like dating and relationships or nutrition. When you are targeting such a wide array of people, such a huge TAM,
Total available market.
yes. How does one get results in the short term, but stay true to the ethos of the podcast? Because it's very easy. I know that we could just show up and be just a real estate podcast or just a culture focused podcast and get way more results. But as we've discussed internally, and now we're sharing here live with the audience, it's not true to our ethos. It's not true to our friendship. We want sustainability. We want to show up and have the conversations that we had on a Wednesday when we weren't recording.
Over cigars and beers.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to stay true. They love it. But it's deep engagement.
It doesn't,
with a smaller audience than I think we could have.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So it's a harder grind.
It doesn't suit the algo as
Doesn't
well.
suit the algo is the best way.
we
to put it.
don't make content for Reels, and like your business,
Yes.
you make content directly for Reels, right? Like you, like that is the
we make
the
long
thing.
form podcast content,
Yeah.
like Joe Rogan.
I really resonate with your guys' long-term play because that's how it was for me, and I didn't want to sacrifice that for anything. And I also felt that I had this very engaged audience who was just starving for more of this type thing. And I mean, for you guys specifically, I feel like your guys' nuggets of just like being funny in yourselves, and I know you guys already kind of do that in your reels, like one's got to hit. Like I'm just telling you, they have to hit, and they do. I just think that the
Okay,
only
but let's
way,
use an example.
Okay.
All right, we did an episode, a politics episode, on the Iran revolution. So, like, my parents are from Iran. I was like, hey, let's talk about this. They were like, yeah, let's do it. We took one of the clips, and it has gone pretty viral. Like, it's going to hit 1 million soon.
We're approaching 1 million views on that.
Approaching
That's
1 million
amazing.
views. It's amazing. But we don't want a podcast about Iran.
Right.
You know, so it's like what to do with that.
So I think
How
like
do
You
you
keep
take
pumping
that?
your content.
Like a normal influencer would be like, oh, let's do more Iran content.
Or more politics content.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then politics content would be too specific to one segment that we do once a week. And I think that's part of our problem and our blessing, in my opinion. And again, I'm curious your opinion on this. I think our blessing is that we have a huge market of people that we can reach one day, right? Like a Joe Rogan or like a Lex Friedman or whatever it might be, or like a Tim Ferriss. But our struggle is that breaking through is going to be a constant fight against the algorithm because we're never going to give the algorithm what it wants the next week.
The algo wants
you
cohesion.
gave the
Yeah.
algorithm what it wanted. Do you know why you went viral? How long ago did you post that video?
Like 3 weeks ago.
What's going on right now in Iran?
The revolution continues
Why did the algorithm push that?
because of
Extremely relevant.
yeah, it
So
was
you
very
could
relevant.
do that, but I understand you not wanting to always talk about politics. That's why I say just keep pushing your normal content. People will stick around for that. And that's what happened to me. When I grew, there was fall off, follower retention. But a lot of the people stuck around for my other content. People will stick around for the things that they're interested in.
I mean,
But-
we gained a ton of followers for sure.
Yeah.
It was great. But like translating that into podcast listeners is definitely a challenge. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's probably a different question. I mean, you don't have a podcast, right?
No, but everybody
You
tells
should.
me that I should.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
would,
there
you'd
we
have a
go.
great, I mean, probably like a YouTube show.
Yeah,
I think,
Yeah.
YouTube
and then
Yeah,
put it
that's
out
good.
on
First.
podcast.
I think that's the next
It'd be
step.
really good. You should definitely do that. By the way,
Thanks.
I would be a big fan. I would listen
Just
for sure.
liaisoning.
Yeah.
You know,
I would love
have
that.
like a guy and a girl like kind of helping each other
I think
learn.
I think one of the broader questions that's probably better for the listeners too to like that to piggyback on that, but pivot very slightly is like I'm interested if you were to start an account tomorrow that is an Instagram account and you want to grow it and you want to get back to what do you have, like 290,000 or something. I mean, you got like almost 400,000 between Instagram and
Right.
TikTok, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you get a pretty sizable following. If you wanted to do that again from scratch, or somebody wanted to do what you're doing on Instagram and TikTok specifically, like how would you like hack that from 0 to those numbers? Like what would you do differently? What would you keep the same?
I would almost exclusively post reels, videos. Like I feel that's the only way that you're going to grow on any platform right now is short form content. So with YouTube, if you did want to have a massive YouTube channel, you would funnel your shorts, those followers into longer form content. So you would just be pumping shorts, right? If you guys did want to start something, that's how I would start, is just through reels. And you had mentioned something about how my content has changed on my profile. That's what's working right now. So I'm doubling down on it. And I don't like the way that it looks. I hate the way my feed looks, but I don't really care because it's working.
So with those, you're just going iPhone recording to your face, like
Yes.
over a 1 minute period. Like, help me understand what that looks like.
So I guess I do use one editing platform. I use Canva specifically for like my cover photos. I put the font in there and like
great.
a
Yeah,
gradient
Canva's good.
background. It's so easy to use, super interactive and intuitive.
So
So
you do it all on mobile.
Canva I do on my desktop. Publishing and all that I do it on mobile. Captions are auto generated through Instagram and those platforms, so it's super easy. Be careful though, because sometimes auto generation fucks it up and
Yeah,
gets.
I've seen that.
But you know what? maybe don't be careful because that's engagement, right? So sometimes I know that creators intentionally will say something wrong to get that engagement in the comments, and then people will go crazy.
So, speaking about converting an audience, this is a money episode. So, what is your current take on I guess my question is this a business for you? Will it become a business in the future, or is it not a business? Is it not money motivated at all? And just we're curious to explore what that might look like in the future.
Yeah. So in the beginning, it was just, connecting and building friends and an audience. But it gets to a point where your energy has to be compensated. And it was a choice between dopamine and dollars. Obviously, I want dollars.
Right.
And so I started to test out the waters with coaching, but I didn't love it. I just always had this, hesitation with one-on-one coaching. I never really wanted to be viewed as a coach, but I did do some one-on-ones, and I felt that I would be of greater service in a more indirect way, whether it be through courses or just my reels and all that stuff. And then I started exploring helping guys out with their dating profiles.
Okay.
So I started charging for that.
Why is that
about that.
not more
How'd it
of
go?
a thing?
Amazing.
Really?
That should be
Yeah.
more of a thing.
It's my thing.
It's your thing.
It's my thing.
Do you know
Come
how
to
many
me.
guys?
Hold on, can we get into this in the next episode?
Yeah,
Because
I don't want to get too much into the actual I want to talk about that in the
But I
next
have a
episode.
business question
but
about
I'm
this.
curious about the business side of it. Yeah.
So I obviously looked at your profiles. I did all the research. I didn't know
Yeah.
that was your thing.
Yeah.
And that's how you might be monetizing this.
Yeah.
So how are you creating a journey for those people to eventually come to that?
Like a funnel.
Yes, exactly. What's your funnel look like?
I'm reluctant to say my funnel because it's
don't
magical.
Have to. You don't have to. But I'm just
It's
saying,
my secret
you
sauce. I'm
have
so
you have
sorry, guys.
So you have a hidden funnel.
I do.
Hidden
But
funnel.
you're purposely not explicit about it
Right. Right.
from the
Those
front.
are the best funnels.
Right.
Yeah.
And the
Don't
idea is to
show-
build
But-
a relationship and then make the ask.
Right.
later.
So people will directly message me.
I was gonna say it's DM. Yeah.
No, it's not.
It's not through
it's
DM.
not. I mean, so, I guess I have three, but people will directly message me and they'll be like, "Hey, I have this situation. Do you offer one-on-ones?" And depending on the situation, I'll say yes, I'll say no. I have screenshotted in the past, my previous work with helping men out with their dating profiles, and they've gotten girlfriends, and they'll send me thank you gifts, and so I'll post that.
What?
Right? So it'll be like, wait, she does that. Let me inquire. I actually did that yesterday with some testimonials on my story, and I got 50 emails asking for me to review their
I'm
profiles.
gonna give a little teaser to the next episode, guys. More fish, more fish, please. That's what.
Don't
you need.
listen to him. This is what I'm here for. Do not listen to him.
Can't wait for the
So
next episode.
just basic structure about the business model is it a subscription oriented? Is it one time oriented? Project oriented?
So, full transparency, I've done everything myself, which I love because I like to be hands-on, but it's also held me back from a growth perspective because I'm not a web developer. I don't know how to build funnels. I can teach myself only so much, but I want to do everything. I want to have subscription. I want to have a funnel for all these other courses. I want to do everything. It's just, it gets to be very daunting. And then you're like, shit, I don't know what to do. Now I'm stuck. I feel stuck. There will be in the future, along with my rebrand, more funnels that are apparent, set in place.
Cool.
But as of right now, it's people have to seek that out
So
directly.
you do not advertise this in any way other than posting that picture and
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people, and this might apply to a lot of other influencers out there, that they're not making it necessarily a public what service or product they have to offer in order to create goodwill. But there are a lot of people that would like to give you money.
Absolutely.
So what do you say to those people that might be listening right now?
Right.
I want to give you money. I want you to help me with my dating profile. How
Right.
can I do
Well,
that?
I think there has to be, for me specifically, to, I guess, be able to take in that wristband, I have to have a far more structured process set in place. And that's what I'm working on right now, is basically the back end to all of that. So that will be the forefront of it all, along with brand deals. I'm doing brand deals now, and I've always done brand deals, but they're much bigger now, which is really exciting. And I always thought, I just knew you build the community and the brands will come.
So
I just
is
knew.
that, is that like sponsorship oriented? Is that
It can be sponsored posts. They want you to talk about their product, their service, or they just want to use your face for their ad.
But you know what I find like the most interesting out of the story you're telling and how we just got to the monetization method, and there is one, and I didn't know there was one, was that you didn't start out with it, but like
No.
it kind of happened organically.
Yeah.
And you kind of took the feedback from your audience, like, oh, there's a need here in a business here, but you kind of had to trust that process this whole way. I mean, you've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
And you had to trust that along the way, a need will come, right? Like when
Yeah.
did this first pop up as like a potential monetization method?
I think my guy friend asked me to look at his or something like that. And then he,
Was it Steven?
No.
I'm kidding. I'm teasing.
It worked.
It worked.
but yeah, I
My
looked at
profile was great back in the day.
Okay.
All right,
Unbelievable.
Ziggy works.
I
Ziggy
took your
works.
profile pic, dude.
Sorry, Stephanie. We were
No, all
continue.
good. But yeah, he got, I guess, really good feedback, matches and dates. And so I offered it to 3 people. I was like, let me just do it for free. And I took 3 people that wouldn't be easy. I was like, I did. I directly sought out people where I was like,
it was us 3.
but I just wanted to make sure that I knew what I was doing, and it worked, and it did work. And so then I started charging $50 because I still wasn't super confident with it. And then I started charging $75, $100, $250.
Where are you at now?
Around there, a little higher.
Cool.
This is so good. It's
This
so
is fascinating.
valuable because I know this is the money episode, but I do want to mention like the number one thing like a lot of guys bring up as soon as dating comes up is like, look at my profile.
Right.
Like, you know, check it out. What do you
Right.
think?
Well, it
but
is, like, the
asking
most
other
important thing.
guys
You
is
don't,
garbage.
you do not. Here's the thing. The main thing that I've realized by viewing hundreds of men's profiles and revamping them is that guys just aren't the best judges
No,
when it comes
not at
to
all.
what pictures they look best in. They're just not. And it's not like a jab.
No, there's
You
just
want
not.
a woman's perspective on your dating profile because that's who you're trying to
It's
attract.
like when they try to post a picture of themselves with another girl to look.
Oh
it's
my
the
God.
worst.
Well, you know, there
It's
is
the worst.
there is a theory behind that. So I understand where it could get confusing. The theory is that if men are with women who are attractive in person, that automatically increases
but it
their social
makes
status.
women insecure and uncomfortable. Like, who is this person?
yes
Save it for the
and
next
no.
episode, you guys.
Okay.
Okay, we're just trying to get there.
We're gonna get there.
Questions
God
will be
damn
answered.
it.
I want to go back to the monetization a little bit because
Okay,
I like
go.
that. Have you considered doing a group?
Yes. I've considered doing everything, Steven, but it just gets really daunting when I'm the only person doing it. Like, it's like, you know, you start researching and you're like, holy shit, there's just so much. And you kind of just back off, but then you get back into it and it's just a cycle and you kind of do a little bit of everything and not one thing gets done. Right. But yes, I've considered doing groups. That is something that will happen. There's a lot in the works right now. There's products coming out. Not just digital courses, but like actual products that I'm really excited about. I just think it's time. I've been doing this for 3 years. I know my audience wants products, things, courses, all that. So
I mean, you've got the hardest thing. You've got the eyeballs. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
like you can do anything with them at this point, especially because like you have built up.
OnlyFans?
I wouldn't do that. I mean, you probably make some good money in the short run, but
I wouldn't.
Wouldn't recommend. Oh, don't sell yourself short.
I mean, you can do a lot with that platform. It's not only like, you know, naughty photos or whatever. Like, you can do a lot of things.
Well, I thought about,
It's just a payment gateway.
I did think about selling my own answers. And because a lot of people will directly message me and they'll say, hey, but what about you? We want to know what you think. So I have a subscribing feature on Instagram and I share
They
my,
just launched that.
yeah. So
Oh,
I think
really?
I'm still in the
Did
beta.
you
Cool.
Yeah.
turn it on?
Yes. Or I was just,
Yeah.
I woke up one day and I had it.
Okay.
Awesome. So I have subscribers on there and it's just a different way of
So
interacting
this
with them.
is like you do a story or a video content that is gated that goes specifically to these subscribers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that helps.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're probably gonna integrate like tipping and everything. Too, right? 'Cause
you
they
can
do that on
actually-
Facebook.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, anybody can tip on, like if you go live on a story, you can tip through there. But I don't know about anything else.
So before we wrap up, any kind of like parting advice for wannabe creators
Yeah.
or people who are already creating to grow? What would you what would you like to part?
This
with?
is your sign. If you want to be a creator and influencer, if you just want to put your gifts and your values out there, the time is right now. Literally, this is your sign. And I wish I had somebody to tell me this was my sign. I would have started much sooner. I know it's scary, but it's worth it because it's your happiness and you shouldn't have to sacrifice that for anybody else, like your friends or your family. This is your life and you should be able to choose your life and your destiny.
Awesome. Thank
Clip
you.
that slide. That was some good shit.
Where can people find you? Like where would you like them to
On Instagram, it's at Stephanie Daily, DAILY. On TikTok, it's Stephanie Daily, Y. And then on YouTube, you can just type in Stephanie Daily.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So good. And now let's jump to the fun part. And then
We'll see you next episode.
well, for people listening, it'll be 2 episodes from now. Sucks for you. We'll see you guys there.
Bye guys.
Peace.
Later.